Hello and welcome back to Aviation Avi. Go where you feel the most alive. I am Anvesha Pal and today I'll walk you through the freedoms of air and the Chicago Convention of 1944. If you are new to this channel, do go and hit the subscribe button because it is worth it. So let's get started. How did freedom of air come into existence and why was it required? The situation before World War II was such that international air transportation was not a regular phenomenon. Thus, need was not felt to standardize or regularize such movements. But after the World War II, as international air transport gained pace, there was need felt to regularize and standardize these movements. Thus, in the year 1944, an international convention was held in Chicago to establish the framework for all future bilateral and multilateral agreements to use international airspace. Bilateral agreements are the agreements between two states, and multilateral agreements are the agreements between a number of states together. A very good example of multilateral agreement would be the Chicago Convention. Since the Chicago Convention, as we discussed in the video of how icao was formed, grants sovereignty to each country over its airspace, thus any international air transport requires permission from concerned states over which it flies or lands. The freedom of air are a set of commercial aviation rights granting a country's airline the privilege to enter and land in another country's airspace. So, with the Chicago Convention, two other agreements were formed that were the International Air Services Transit Agreement and the International Air Transport Agreement. The first two freedom of air are called the technical freedom. The third, fourth and the fifth freedom of air are the commercial freedom, and because the 6th, 7th, 8th and 9th freedom are not based under the agreements that were formed along with the Chicago Convention, they are called the so-called freedom of air. The first freedom of air, the right or privilege in respect of scheduled international air services granted by one state to another state or states to fly across its territory without landing. This is also called the transit freedom. To understand all the freedom of air, we will be referring to the home country of the airline as the home state and the other two countries as country A and country B. So let us understand the first freedom of air. The first freedom of air grants the country's airline the right to overfly country A and land on country B without landing in country A, just overflying country A. Second freedom of air is the right or privilege in respect of scheduled international air services granted by one state to another state or states to land in its territory for non-traffic purposes like maintenance, refueling or emergencies. Let us see this example where a country's airline flies from home state, lands on the land of country A and makes a technical stop here and further continues its journey to country B. This practice was common when there were aircraft that did not have enough range to cover transatlantic flights at once, and it made multiple stops at various countries for the purpose of refueling. So, the third freedom of air. It is the right or privilege in respect of scheduled international air services granted by one state to another state or states to carry traffic from a home country to another country for the purpose of commercial air services. So, in this example, we see a country's airline, that is from the home state, it flies with passengers and cargo to country A and offloads them in the land of country A. So, basically, it is the base of international air transport. The fourth freedom of air is the right or privilege in respect of scheduled international air services granted by one state to another state or states to pick up traffic from another country to a home country for the purpose of commercial air services. So to understand this, the airline of the home state picks up cargo, mail and passengers or traffic rather from country A and moves back to its home state. The fifth freedom of air grants the freedom to carry traffic between two foreign countries on a flight that either originated in or is destined to the carrier's home country. So in this example we see an airline of the home state carries traffic from the home state to country A and further to country B. This freedom is further divided into two categories, that is, the intermediate fifth freedom type. It gives the right to carry traffic from the third country to the second country. That is, the airline flies from its home state directly to country B and further carries traffic from B to A. And the beyond fifth freedom type, where the country's airline, that is the home state's airline, carries traffic from second country, that is country A, and goes to country B, that is the third country. Moving on to the so-called freedom of air, that is the sixth freedom of air. This is the right or privilege in respect of scheduled international air services to carry traffic between two foreign countries via the carrier's home country. So here, the airline of the home state carries traffic from country A, flies to its home state, and further carries traffic from the home state and flies to country B. This freedom of air is very common in the Middle Eastern countries and the European countries. So basically this right gives the freedom to carry passengers between two countries through an airport in the home country. The seventh freedom of air grants the right or privilege in respect of scheduled international air services to base aircraft in a foreign country for use in international air services, thus establishing a de facto foreign hub. So, as in this example, an airline of the home state sets up a hub in either country A or country B and conducts international air transport between these two countries, that is country A and country B. That is, it operates from second state to or from the third state. This covers the right to operate passenger services between two countries outside the home country. Eighth freedom of air. This gives the right or privilege in respect of scheduled international air services to carry traffic between two domestic points in a foreign country on a flight that either originated in or is destined for the carrier's home country. So let us understand this with this example. The airline of the home state flies from the home state to country A, offloads the traffic that it brought in from the home state and onloads further traffic for another domestic destination in country A itself. This is also referred to as cabotage privileges. In aviation, cabotage means the right to operate passenger flights within the domestic borders of a country by an aircraft registered outside that country. The last freedom of air is the ninth freedom of air, which grants the right or privilege in respect of scheduled international air services to carry traffic between two domestic points in a foreign country. Let us understand this with this image here. The airline that is registered in the home state is carrying out domestic operations in country A. This is also known as full cabotage privilege. Here you must have observed that all the freedom of air are only for scheduled international air services and not for chartered operations or for non-scheduled movements. Hope you enjoyed the video on freedom of air. If you have any doubts, you can reach out to me on my website, that is aviationavi.com, or on my LinkedIn profile, the link of which you'll find in the description. To like, share and subscribe because your support is our motivation. Thank you.